morning once again. I'm Egnolua Odeyemi. I'm the Planning and Policy Administrator, so I'm going to be starting off the presentation. So today's agenda, we're going to be looking at the FY26 programs. We're going to be talking about the submission process, online portal, as well as the breakout session. Because after this presentation, there's going to be breakout sessions where you're going to be asking, questions with the program staff, and they're going to be going into more detail about their programs. All right, so what's the purpose of today's workshop? Number one, we're going to be providing you an overview of this year's funding opportunities. We're going to be reviewing the guidelines and the requirements, and then we talk about the electronic submission, and then engage with program experts during the breakout session, just like I said just a while ago, and then discuss trainings on the electronic portal, because we know that this is a whole process. We've got new people joining us that needs to understand how they go through this process. So there will be opportunities for trainings and things like that. All right, so now let's talk about this. Our funding for FY26 start of July 1st, 2025, up until June 30th, 2026. And it's a competitive funding process, all right? And because of that, application and selection process is consistent and clear. And that is why we are starting off this way, to kind of walk us through what you would expect, what would go through, so that you all understand what to expect during the whole application. And then available for projects benefiting low to mod persons. And it also aligns with our consolidated plan, our priorities, our goals regarding homelessness, affordable housing, and so on and so forth. And there are threshold requirements. All of these will also be discussed during the breakout session, but it's also very important for you to know that the threshold requirement must be met. Remember, we said this is a competitive process, so and there are certain thresholds that every program needs to be, that's the kind of like the standard, so there isn't any way around it. And then deficient applications will not be considered for review. So please take your time. Whatever questions you have during the breakout session, make sure you ask the program staff. They'll be patient enough with you to walk you through all of that, because any deficiency in any of the applications will not be considered. And then the SCIF process is usually cash reimbursement. There is no upfront payment, so please take note of that, all right? And then once you are awarded and you've been given the funding, there's always, how you do your cash reimbursement is on a monthly basis. We are requesting you to submit your invoices. Okay, because we need that also on our end to ensure that there is accuracy in documentation and things like that. So please take note of that. Monthly invoices will be requested, and program staff will also make you aware of when they would be requesting those invoices on a monthly basis. So please, let's be cognizant of that. And then City of Memphis insurance requirements, same here too. Every program that are standing, especially when the contracts are being executed, they will be requiring certain insurance requirements from you all. Please adhere to all of these processes. And then funds will be awarded based on eligible non-profit organizations for community development and service programs. Applications must have a minimum score of 75 to be considered. And I'm sure you'll be wondering, what does that entail? During the breakout session, you will be told all of that information, okay? All right, so our funding for the year, under the Homelessness and Special Needs Department, we have our Emergency Solution Program grant, which is typically around 560,000 thereabout that everyone will be competing for. And then housing opportunity for persons with AIDS, HOPWA, is around 3 million thereabout. And then home-funded tenant-based rental assistance home TBRA is also approximately around that amount of 600,000, as well as our community service grant, which is around 250,000. And then for the Office of Neighborhood Engagement, which is our neighborhood partnership grant, we have 200,000. So what's the timeline for this whole funding process? And SCIF grant opens today, December 3rd. If you go online right now on our website, you're going to see it there. And all grants must be submitted via our online portal, and we're going to be showing you what it looks like. There isn't any avenue for paper submission, right? So everything is via our online portal. And then we are having our workshop right now today, 10 a.m. at the library. And then there will be our how to submit HCD grant workshop, July 15, 2025, 6 p.m. It's going to be a virtual workshop. Remember, we said that this is a competitive process. There will be trainings and things like that. So just take note of all those timelines, okay? And then the online portal training, there will be 2 sessions specifically before the application closes. On the 10th of December at 10 a.m. is a virtual training opportunity. And at the end of this presentation, there's going to be a QR code for everyone to scan and just register for the training. And the second one will be on the 14th of January 2025, 2 p.m., also a virtual training. And then please take note, this application process will be closing 4 p.m. January 31st, 2025. So please put this timeline on your calendar so at least you have it at the back of your mind. So I'm going to be calling on the Emergency Solution Program staff to come to talk about the program. Travis. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Good morning. My name is Travis Young. I'm a community housing manager for the Homeless and Special Needs Department for HCD. Representing my administrator, Ms. Kimberly Mitchell, today. Real quick, I just want to introduce our team. To the far right, I have Tim Sappho. He's over our ESG. I have Patrice Warner. She's also a member of our ESG team. I have Kenyatta Jackson Frazier. She's a part of our CSG. Chantel Williams-Bailey, she's also a part of our CSG. Dexter Jeffries, he oversees our home TBRA program. And our newest member, Tangela Gilkey, she's also a member of our CSG. Okay, so real quick, we're just going to go over just an overview of our ESG or our Emergency Solutions Grant. Now, the Emergency Solutions Grant it seeks to improve the quality of life for homeless citizens through the funding of activities for homeless families who move forward to independent living and to prevent homelessness. Now, with this particular grant, there is a match requirement, which means whatever funds you raise and have, you also have to match that dollar for dollar. So whatever you're awarded, you have to be able to match it. The program activities are designed to be a first step in the continuum of services for the homeless person. Also, the average award per grantee or per project sponsor is about $50,000, and this is for 1 year. To be an eligible applicant, you have to be a nonprofit organization that serves the homeless population and demonstrate at least 1 year of operating services and experience within the community. Some of the eligible activities include street outreach, emergency shelter, homeless prevention, rapid rehousing, and homeless management information systems. Now, all these activities will be further explained during the breakout session. The next grant is the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, which I myself actually oversee. So the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, or HOPR, assists low-income individuals who are diagnosed with HIV/AIDS and their family members who live with them. Now, to be an eligible applicant for this particular application, you have to be a nonprofit organization and also demonstrate at least 1 year of experience working with this particular community. You must also document that the clients that you serve are HIV positive and also meet the HUD's definition for income guidelines. Now, the average amount for this award is actually $400,000 per project sponsor. Also, you must be able to increase the availability of decent, safe, and affordable housing. Now, the difference between this particular grant is this actually covers 7 counties. There are 3 in Tennessee, 1 in Arkansas, and 4 in Mississippi. Those counties include Fayette County, Shelby County, and Tipton County in Tennessee. They also include DeSoto, Marshall, Tate, and Tunica County in Mississippi. And finally, is Crittenden County in Arkansas. Some of the eligible activities include the acquisition and/or rehabilitation of housing, new construction of single-room occupancy or community residence, the operation cost of housing. If you already own your own building and have your own housing, those costs can be used towards that. Short-term supported housing or homeless shelters, rental assistance, short-term rent, mortgage, and utility assistance, permanent housing placement, housing information, resource identification, and support services. Next, we have our home TIRA, or tenant-based rental assistance. The Home Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program provides rental assistance to low incomes who are homeless and have a special needs. The eligibility is you have to be a nonprofit organization or 501c3 with a current Tennessee charter, also having financial statements and an audit, and having insurance. You must serve clients whose income is at least 60% or below the median income who are at risk of homelessness and also have a special need. Now, the clients, with this particular grant, the clients have to pay or have an income and pay only 30% of their rent or at least a portion of their utilities. The average amount for this particular award is $300,000 per project sponsor. Some of the eligible activities include rental assistance and utility assistance. And finally, we have our community service grant, or CSG as we like to call it. For this particular activity, some of the eligible activities include public service and public facility improvement. Now, the maximum award for this particular grant is $50,000 over a 2-year period, so it's $25,000 per year. But if you're doing public facility improvement, it is a one-time amount of $50,000. Now, some discussion, with this particular grant, it serves a larger group of community and special needs population. Some of those populations include people with HIV/AIDS, persons dealing with mental and physical disabilities, the elderly, people who have chronic substance abuse, people with developmental and physical disabilities, victims of domestic violence, youth aging out of foster care, veterans. Now, as an organization to be eligible for this particular grant, you have to be a nonprofit organization, having your 501c3, also having insurance, and having your current Tennessee charter. You must demonstrate the income of the clients that you serve, as well as provide documentation of homelessness. And last, your agency must be in operation for at least 1 year, providing services to these particular special needs populations. And now, I'm trying to, it's Joyce Cox.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. As Travis said, my name is Joyce Cox, and I'm the manager of the Office of Neighborhood Engagement. And my department, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this, whom I deem is the best team in the whole wide world. Let's give them a hand. And I'm going to introduce you to them, part of them, because some of them are not here. Mr. Sherman Robinson, who is the Neighborhood Redevelopment Coordinator, and Ms. Stephanie Hope, who is one of our ACD analysts, and Stephanie works very closely with this program. Some of you may know her, and some of you will get to know her. So the Neighborhood Partnership Grant provides funding for neighborhood service-oriented programs that benefit the neighborhood. Our eligibility must be a nonprofit, and it could be under business, economic development, community development, or community initiatives. You must demonstrate at least 1 year of serving a community. And our maximum request is $15,000. And we've had some awesome projects from some of the nonprofits here in the city of Memphis using these funds. And they have been so diverse and they've made a difference. So you too can do that. So Neighborhood Partnership Grant, the eligible activities include workforce development, youth development, economic development, activities that supports affordable housing, SBE, MBE, WEB programs, job creations, neighborhood cleanups, and capacity building. And that's it for me. So we'll see you in the next room if you have more detailed questions. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Federal Compliance and Monitoring Administrator, Mr. Glenn Voss. Let's give him a hand.
Good morning, everyone. As Ms. Cox said, my name is Glenn Voss. I'm the administrator of the compliance department, and there are 3 of our team members here, and let me introduce them to you. First, I have Ms. Julia Hughes, and Michael Cox is here, and Trey Fuller is here. And you'll have an opportunity to meet them after the session is over. The Compliance and Monitoring Department is responsible for ensuring that all federal programs are administered by HCB compliance for federal guidelines and regulations which are established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The program focus for compliance monitoring is a 3-fold process. We have ensuring sub-recipients comply with grant guidelines and federal requirements, which include programs eligible activities such as servicing persons earning 80% or less of the AMI, the environmental review process, labor standards, which is Davis-Bacon, American Disability Act guidelines, and Section 504 and Section 3. We also do monitoring programs and projects, and providing technical assistance to internal program managers and external sub-recipients. Now, some of these things will not necessarily comply to your project or program, but based upon the scope of your program, some of these will be triggered. And we also work with you on the insurance requirements, and the insurance requirements will be determined based upon the scope of work or the scope of your program. And that information will be sent to the risk management department, which will determine if your program or project needs insurance. And so basically that's what we have. And if I left anything out, or if you have any questions, I'll be available afterwards for you to ask me whatever you have on your mind. Thank you very much.
All right.
So I realized when I spoke the other time, I did not introduce my team members. So I have Ms. Tanya Johnson. She's part of the Plan and Policy. She's the grants coordinator, and she'll be coming up shortly. I also have Mr. Jonathan Watkins, as well as Amanda Umira. They are part of my team, but they are at the registration desk. So I also wanted to introduce them so you know I don't walk alone. All right, let's go on. So the application components. All right, so we have the applicant profile, and then we also have application per program area. So under the applicant's profile, you have the organizational information, as well as highlights on the capacity. And then under the highlights of your capacity, you're going to be talking about your experience, as well as the financial or agency budgets. So during your application, those are some of the things you'll be required to address. And then under the application per program area, you have your program narrative, as well as program budget information. Again, during the breakout session, the program staff will walk you through all of this so you have more understanding of what it entails. So for the agency budget overview, this is a threshold item. And remember, I said earlier on that any threshold information that is left out will affect any application. So take note of that. If not attached, your application will not be considered for review. Add where requested in the profile section. And we're going to show you what that looks like in the corner. This budget provides a view of your overall agency financials in terms of your expenditure, your revenue, and all those other information. So it's necessary to provide that just so we have an understanding of what the financials of every of the agencies look like. So when you go to the portal, remember we said it's an online application and you start your process, it's going to bring you to a page that looks like that. And you can see your agency budget there. And note the highlighted sentence there. It says applications with incomplete budget will be penalized. And I'm sure you've all taken time to come here to listen. You don't want your applications to be penalized. So please take note of all of this information. They are very much important. And these are all the necessary part of the agency budget, the fundraising, your donation, government grants, whatever it is. So during the workshop with the program staff, ask all these questions, okay, so that you can understand what we'll be needing as far as your agency budget is concerned. And then the program budget as well. This is also very important. Applications with incomplete budget will be penalized. So you have to talk about your total revenue. And remember when the other program staff came up, we talked about the fact that within 1 year, you should have been in operation. So we want to see what that looks like every year, things like that. So the total budget, revenue, other funds, total program budget, your expenses, and then you're also going to be justifying whatever information you have there. Just the narrative says budget justification. Please give a detailed narrative or explanation of your example ESG fund request. So if you are requesting, let's say, 500,000, for example, I'm just throwing the number there, you have to provide the reason why you're asking for whatever amount you're asking for. All right, so that is what that will look like. Again, you'll be able to ask all these questions during the breakout session. So, SCIF application review. After you have submitted and the application closes January 31st, there will be completeness and eligibility review by the program staff. They're going to be checking to make sure you have your agency budget, your program budget, and all of those required documents to make sure everything is correctly completed. And then the application will be reviewed and scored. Earlier on, I said that the minimum is what? 75. So they're going to be looking at all of those. So by independent and external review team of industry experts. So we've got people that are external to HCD that will be reviewing those applications to make sure that you meet the threshold. And then notification, award approval or denial letters. So that's going to be how things will be done. So again, electronic submission. And if you go to, now you see the link there is active. So if you go on your computer and you click on that link, it will take you straight to the SCIF funding opportunity. And right now, like I said, this application is live on our website. Even this presentation that we have today will also be available on HCD's website, so you can easily go in to review all of this information all over again. So electronic application link will be found on HCD website, applicant's web profile, as well as project application, all of those that I just shared with you. And then, so from now up until the 31st of January, 4 p.m., this application is open and it closes 4 p.m. So if you turn it in 4:01, it's not going to be accepted. So just take note of that, all right? All right, so I'll call on Ms. Tanya Johnson to walk you through this submission of your grant. Thank you.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Okay, now to the fun part, right? Submitting your grant. So I will review information about actually walking you through some of the portal, giving you some tips on submitting your application. For those of you, just to show of hands, how many of you used the Neighborly portal last year? Great job. So we have a few that will be there first time. Well, all right. Electronic submission process. First, access. You will access the link to the City of Memphis Housing and Community Development website under funding opportunities. Next, you will create an account. Simply going to put a username in, which will be your email address and a password. You're going to review the program guidelines and make use of required documents. They're located in two places. They're located on the overview page of the application, as well as on the City of Memphis website in our folder HCD documents. I would strongly suggest, and I used that word a couple times this morning, that you review the guidelines and the required documents before you begin submitting your application. Once you submit this application, you cannot go back in and open it up for you to resubmit documents. You will have to start all over again. And that's not something that we want to do. Have several, if you start over again, then you need to contact me to let me know, hey, Ms. Tanya, I had to start over again. So you may see several applications in the portal. So I will know which one to download to pass on to the program staff. If you have 5 applications in there and they're all incomplete, I do not want to submit the incorrect application that will not have your documents in it. So earlier, my phone number was on the screen as well as my email address, so please contact me to let me know. But no one's gonna do that. You're gonna submit one application because we're gonna read the guidelines, we're gonna go over the required document, we're going to start gathering our information before we start working in the portal, okay? You're going to complete the application. You're going to move through the process. You're going to do the overview. You're going to do the applicant profile. You're going to start answering your questions. Each budget is uploaded into the system, so you don't have to download anything. You just fill out your budget, any required documents that need to be uploaded, you will upload them in the budget. You're going to save, review before you submit. This is a copy, well, this is how the portal looks. So once you go into the City of Memphis website, HCD, and you click on the application or Neighborly, you will come to this portal. This is where you will register. For those of you who completed an application last year, your previous email should be able to work. If not, contact me. Well, I'm pretty sure it's working. Just make sure when you go in that you're submitting applications for FY26. Another fun part. We will have an electronic submission process training. I will conduct the training. There are 2 different sessions. The first session is November 10th, 2024 at 10 a.m. The second session is January 14th, 2025 at 2 p.m. At the end of the training, once Director Cash finishes speaking, then we will load the QR codes up for you to register for the training. You can attend both trainings. You can attend one training, whichever one is best for you. You can also call me if you have questions. Just a couple of tips for your submission process. Again, I strongly suggest that you download the matrix of required documents and you download the guidelines for each application. Especially if you're submitting several applications. You want to make sure that you're eligible as well as the program or project that you want to submit is eligible. You're going to complete each section of the application. The way the system is set up, you cannot submit your application until every required section of the application is completed. So you can always save and come back, but you can't submit until every required section of the application is completed, regardless if it's an upload or if you're entering any information. You're going to review your application before submission. You get enough set of eyes on it. If there are several people working in the application, you want to make sure that you just put 4 eyes, sometimes better than 2. It's a one to review it for you. You're going to print a copy of the application for your records. Now, once you submit that application, you will receive an email saying that your application has been submitted, the date that it was submitted, as well as the time. So you want to make sure that you receive that email. Because if you do not receive that email and you say that your application was submitted, call me and say, okay, can you forward that email to me? Let me make sure that I have it on my end. Couple more tips. Please review and print your application. The levy report is man-made. It may make some quick surges or anything can happen. Always make sure you print your application. You want to make sure that you're using an email address as well as a password. With the new neighborly system, it is set up that if you have more than one person that will be working in the application, the first person can always assign that application to the next person using their email and password, and we'll discuss those over the training. Again, make sure you save your application, review your application, print your application. We're going to download the guidelines and the matrix of required documents to make sure that we're eligible for the programs. We're going to make sure that we don't have several applications in the portal because we're going to take our time and go through it thoroughly. All right? Next, we have Director Cash to come up and close us out.
All right, good morning, everybody. I definitely appreciate the team put together what I believe is a thorough presentation, and we'll have a break after I speak and then dive in specifically to the programs. One thing that I hope you realize, and all of our staff are not here today, but while you may interface with 1 or 2 people, there's a huge team of folks working to make HCD run and happen and make sure that we got everything. And so I did, since everybody introduced their teams, I wanted to make sure we acknowledge folks who may not be directly a part of SCIF. So Alejandro Paredes is our PR coordinator. He's the one that makes sure y'all get all the information, whether it be on the website, Facebook, and he's always giving us different thoughts and ideas around marketing. Twyla Guest and her team is here. They're actually having we are having an event next Tuesday, I think the 11th, on affordable housing. So if you are an affordable housing developer, you can come out there. Twyla's here, James Thornton is here, Camilla Kelly, who is a new representative, and maybe they all stepped out because I don't see any of them. I see you, Camilla, and then Margaret Jackson in the back. V is representing our development services, V Turnage. department. And did I leave anybody out from HCD who's in here today? I think that's everybody. So thank you so much, y'all, for participating. So we wanted to just share some of our past recipients. I'm not gonna go through these. These are just logos of folks who have received funds before, but they received funds in a lot of different categories. Neighborhood partnership grants, which Joyce Cox and her team administers, is really about outreach, neighborhood support, ways to enhance your community, and then a lot of our other efforts, MIFA, Agape, Hospitality Hub, are around homelessness services. Some people may dabble in both, but those are just some of the examples. These are some additional grantees that we funded last year, and I believe if you go on our website, there is a place where you can look at FY25 SCIF, and you can look at those past recipients. I think that's important because you may have an idea and you're not sure if it's eligible or if it's been done before, and so that's where you can look and see the types of specific projects that we have actually funding. So this is, I kind of got into this a little bit, these are our additional programs. We do a lot of work around, really our mission is to support affordable housing, make sure that all residents have safe, quality, affordable places to live, beautiful communities, and supported amenities around it. And so these are just some of the other tools that we have. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Twyla and her team administers that. The Neighborhood Economic Development Opportunities, the V in the back administers that, and that's really around either small business or some community action support. We've got multifamily housing programs through our federal funds, and then we just recently launched a middle income housing pilot program, which is new. We had a version in the 90s, early 2000s, but this is a new version. Evan and her team are administering that program, but that is to provide assistance for developers who are providing housing for people who are 81% to about 120% of the area median income. So there's not a lot of tools out there in that market, and so we're trying to provide some supports there. Our direct service programs, we have 3. One I don't think is listed, so lead hazard, where if you have or know of any people who have lead hazards in their home, we do have a lead hazard remediation program. We've got a weatherization program that specifically if you have weatherization issues in your home, you can reach out to anybody and they can connect you with the right person. And then the other is a down payment assistance program as well. And then on here specifically, if you are either a GC or know one or want to get involved, we do have contracting opportunities through our lead program and our weatherization program. So we've got a lot going on. We always try to make ourselves available. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. I think we're gonna have, I was gonna ask this, Tanya, Q&A is right now. Is this after? After, okay. This will be after, and so next, go to the last slide, are gonna be our breakout sessions. I'm going to, let's see, they are in the 2 rooms over there, and we have this little diagram to show you exactly where you could and should go. This is the last slide, which I can be definitely good at. If you need any information on the program, you can contact Evan or Dr. O. Her email address is at the top and her phone number, and then Tanya, as you said, if you have any issues with the neighborly portal or any questions around that, that's her email address and her phone number as well. We really appreciate y'all. We're excited about the work that we're gonna do in the upcoming year. And so thank you so much for participating. And then I'm going to turn it over to Evan.
Thank you so much, Director Nash. All right, so this is the QR code for the training sessions. The first one is for the December 10. You can scan it right now, as well as January 14. That's that as well for the training sessions. So it's good to have it, ready.